I'm going to do something so totally Venus retrograde in the sense that I was talking to my baby sister today, and she's a Capricorn, and earthy, grounded, practical, wanted to know what the t-shirt said. If you didn't catch it, hang on, I'll get it to you at the end. And part of what it is Venus is connected to sisters, or people who are artistic and sensitive, which tends to, you got to realize that astrology, a lot of the history mythology has come to us via the patriarchy, men. And so just realize that the Venus retrograde gets you to set a kind of dynamic, an ability to say, you know what, this doesn't fit me anymore. You can add in what other what kind of underwear you want to. But my sister called and gave me her notes, and my two nieces, and I got other people who gave me some notes too. So those of you who know, just because I didn't name you, you know your effects. Because sometimes, influence is not always about being named. And that's the basic draw between, or balance between, Leo and Aquarius. That Aquarius is about changing the future, and it doesn't have to have its name attached to it. It's more sensitive to the ideal. So as Venus is evening star, and are you morning or evening? Hey, that's coming up. Just stay focused. We're going to get to a whole lot over this next 42 days. That just realize it. But I talked to my baby sister. I wanted to redo what Venus retrograde means for each sign. So if you've heard part 4, this part is kind of, let's take it up a notch a little bit, because that's what my Capricorn sis said I needed to do. So let's start with sign number 1, Aries, ruled by Mars, first of spring. So Mars ruled signs are going to have to need Venus in order to soften them. So Venus retrograde from Virgo back to Leo is about Aries understanding the detail and the pleasure, the ability to be focused and humbled and service oriented, but at the same time exalting in oneself, not through being a martyr or, oh, look how much I've done for you, or being so bombastic and so interrupting that Aries can get, you just don't want to be around them sometimes. And then Taurus, Venus ruled sign, but it's the earthy side of Venus. It's the side that says, hey, this is who I am. It's like America, love it or leave it. And Taurus, in its best, is just unflappable. But a Venus retrograde, once every 19 months, 18, 1.6 years, whatever, that it gets Taurus a little bit insecure about areas that it never thought it would even think about. Like eating pumpkin seeds. They're good with iron and magnesium and protein. But, what does Taurus know? Taurus knows sometimes what the authority tells them to do. And so this Venus retrograde is about looking at where is authority from the inside out. Can you be cautious about your relationships and about how you connect to others, and where you may want ownership where it ain't yours to own? Gemini. Well, esoterically, you can say, well, isn't astrology esoteric enough? Well, Castilian Spanish to Guatemalan Spanish people might be esoteric. So just realize that esoteric might be in the eye of the beholder. But Venus being a bridger, think of Venus as, after Humpty Dumpty was, broke up, Venus brings Humpty Dumpty back together again. Venus makes Pinocchio's nose not elongate. Unless it's for some pleasure, maybe. But this is all the Gemini story. The Gemini is attempting to separate, bring it back together. And what I said in the first video had a lot to do with the fact that Venus, the Gemini people moving back, with Venus moving back from Virgo to Leo, might have to understand to love where they are, to love the one that they're with. Everyday people kind of a thing. And just that doesn't mean sexual. It just means entertaining scenarios that you might not, because maybe you've been too superficial and now you need to deepen. Cancer. God, sometimes Venus working through anything that deals with the sun sign of Cancer has to deal with, am I warm enough? Are things personal enough? Does the intimacy, will it hold later? And so Cancer folk have to take the personal tack, obviously, but at the same time, Cancer people are learning to understand the heightened sensitivity may not also serve them if it's done out of an unacknowledged or an unexamined past. It's one thing to say, well, this has happened to me in 1991 or 1999 or 2007 and the years, every 8 years Venus retrogrades in the same spot. So it's one thing to keep playing this whole narrative in your head, Cancer, but it's another thing to use that initiating water, that starting emotion that you have, and then to say, you know what, I'm moving on. I deserve better. And it may not necessarily have to be communicated. Sometimes it may just be shown up in your actions. And I'm going to drink some water to the Cancer people. Leo. Well, all lights are on you anyway, Leo. I mean, July 31st until sometime in October. Oh, I've set the date somewhere else. Look it up. It goes back into Virgo like October 1st or 2nd, somewhere in there. But just understand that the Leo energy with Venus there, it's act on your values, embody your values, be a progenitor or be the envoy of the ambassador planet Venus. And what that means is that there's a level of self-security and attraction and magnetism. But pretty is as pretty does, and pretty can be ugly sometimes. So Leo, if you walk that fine line between arrogance and confidence, like you want to do, make sure you're going to err on the confidence that has been seasoned with a little humility. Because like I told all the Virgos, or the Librans in the last one, no is a complete sentence. We don't need because, we don't need why, we don't need to ignore you out of borderline narcissism. And realize, Virgo can be the reverse narcissist in the sense that it can indicate a level of, making things that have gone wrong. Well, it's my fault. Well, no, it was my damn decision to stay up in here and get arrested with you. You don't think the early Southern Christian Leadership Conference said, oh, it was your fault to get arrested. No, I made the choice. Okay? So Virgo has to learn during this process to be the confessing energy that you are without being judgy. Because the Virgo, the judgment, it's really about you. And the Venus retrograde, in your starting at the very first degree of your sign, and she's like, I'm going to give you a couple weeks. And then we got to go back into Leo. And if we can't have pleasure on the physical dimension, then we're going to create it in other dimensions, whether that's binge watching, yoga, swimming, changing from corn syrup to stevia, whatever it may be, Virgo, moon, suns, rising. It's important that you find that place of health that works for you. Libra. Libra. Well, those scales can be between passion, balancing passion with no passion. And the Venus retrograde is about individuating, revolutionizing, radicalizing, goading art, love, social mores, money. So the going from Virgo to Leo is all about, how do you serve the community? For whom does your bell toll, Libra? I mean, you've got enough surface charm to get through most difficult and awkward situations. But when your ruler goes retrograde, what happens when two awkward situations happen? Or you're in uncharted waters, or you're in areas that you hadn't imagined. The hint is, be authentic or go to F home. Okay? Scorpio, you're used to intense, profound situations, and you probably go or push situations to be that way in the first place. So Virgo is a sibling sign to you. Leo is more challenging because where Leo is authentic and showy, you want to be resistant or reserved. And so the natural tension between Scorpio Leo is, do I have to show all my work? Maybe to a close few. But Leo is like, hey, this is who I am. And it ought not be judged because I'm showing up as my authentic spirit. The way that you can operate through this, Scorpio, is to release the normal controls that you have and be surprised about the type of support that you're getting. And as a Scorpion, I have to say that, the almost 1,000 views of the part 4 and then my redoing it because of my sister and notes from close friends and colleagues, it does my heart some joy. So Scorpio, joy, 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 joy to the world. Sagittarius, well, Virgo can get on your nerves because they're the practical idealists, and you are the idealist, or the spiritual idealist. It could be this, it could be that. And so the Venus retrograde is getting you to slow down and say, well, what? Yeah, it could be a whole lot of things, but what is it really? And so with Jupiter in Leo until August 11th, your ruler, it's important that you temper your enthusiasms in order to get the most out of the marketplace, in order to get the most out of service, in order to get the most out of your ability to aspire and inspire others. But know that difference between, exaggeration, embellishment, and just flat out just mendacity. But anyway, Capricorn. Oh, do I just love, come on, I started this because I'm redoing this because of my Capricorn baby sister. And as the initiating earth sign of winter with the winter solstice as part of your let's return from the light, the Venus retrograde, she's called Aphrodite or Lucifer, which means light bearer. So there's a part of the Venus retrograde that illuminates or shines light on our deeper motivations. And when we're not getting what we want, do we turn in the negative side of Venus, which is vanity and narcissism and greed and that line between healthy possessiveness, oh yeah, that's my stuff over there, versus that's my stuff over there, and if I can't have that stuff, nobody else can have that stuff. Or the classic emotional abuser energy that comes through the Taurus, the Virgo, the Pisces, the Libra energy. Virgo Pisces is definitely that sadomasochistic, battered energy where it's the batterer or the sadist attempts to keep everybody away from the partner. So the abuser cuts off your friendship relations. And that's why Aquarius is the sign of friendship. And so Capricorn Aquarius during this retrograde has a real good ability to feed or to come into an awareness of being grounded around who are your friends? What about those friends? TLC. Hey, 90s. No problem with the 90s in terms of TLC and Babyface. But point where I'm going with this is that it's important that these Saturn ruled signs of Capricorn and Aquarius during this retrograde Venus understand their power. And Aquarius, Venus spends most of her time in Leo in this retrograde, that you really use that objective mind, that big brain, to inform your heart. I used to tell an ex-partner of mine, large brain, small heart, and so it's important that you allow that heart energy, that anahata, that unstruck, unwounded part of your heart, Aquarius, to really flower over the next couple of months. And certainly, last but not least, Pisces, the sign you can't talk about without sounding like you're on some kind of platform in terms of bully pulpit. Well, I ain't got no bully pulpit, but you know what I mean. And Pisces, as above, so below, two fish swimming in opposite directions but connected by the same cord. Well, it is said that Venus is exalted in Pisces. Well, exalted means that as your soul ages and you realize that everything returns to oneness, everything returns to the Tao. And it's not as simple as, oh, we're all mirrors. That is just, sometimes that's an American exceptionalism construction to forgive bad behavior. The point with Pisces is understanding what's your original source beliefs about everybody that you come in contact with. So you don't have the luxury or the entitlement to look at the outside. If you didn't learn that lesson early and detached in Aquarius, where all we are one, all for one and one for all. I mean, Aquarius is Alexander Dumas, the Three Musketeers. And by Pisces, we're supposed to take that really airy lesson of the American and French revolutions in theory, even the civil rights movement of the middle 20th century, with the water on the dogs, talking about water bearer. It's important that if we didn't get it intellectually through Aquarius, then we're going to flub it in Pisces, where the emotions are much more powerful and difficult to manage because they tend to stay outside of time and space. So this Venus retrograde moving from your 7th house, Pisces, in Virgo, moralistic judgments, masochistic, sadistic, martyred, victimized behaviors, not taking responsibility for the creation of your reality, back into Leo, which gives you the whistle while you work, the ability to understand where's your heart, where are you willing to exhibit those passions in service to the rest of us, where you're able to consciously sacrifice your ego for those win-win situations. And Venus retrograde says, well, where's the love? Allah, where is the love? Allah, Dottie Hathaway, and Roberta Flack. Although, I'm a stickler for you looking like love to me, Roberta Flack and Donnie and Peebo Bryson. But, I've digressed, as I am wont to do. But here is the second Venus retrograde, paying homage to my baby sister in Michigan. And I sign out, be joyous and peaceful.